Okay, so I wanted to talk about today the financial toolkit that you need to be able to operate your business well. One of the things that you're going to find as a business owner is like there's levels of maturity to your financial management. I call it financial performance management. Bookkeeping is at the base of that pyramid. Good accounting, getting financial reports on a regular basis is really important. We'll talk about that. It's the base of the pyramid. But once you have that foundation built, we want to build on top of that to go from looking at the past, which is bookkeeping and traditional accounting, to looking at the future. This is the transition that we've got to make, and it's a different set of skills. It's a different skill set to look at the past versus looking at the future. So let's talk about it. First, the toolkit is comprised of five different items, and one of them, the fifth one, is a little bit. Um, I've never heard anybody talk about this, but I think it's like the glue. It's critical to the implementation of all of this. And this is like I've discovered this over about a decade of working with companies to help them get financial performance, not just helping them with bookkeeping, not just being a fractional CFO to help them understand the numbers, but actually how do we get performance out of the business? How do we make more money? I'm not interested in taking anybody's money unless we can help make it an investment, right? Where they can 5x the money that they invest in us, right? So that's what we're trying to accomplish with this. And I've learned the hard way that you have to have certain things in place and you have to have support across the organization for these things or it won't stick. And so we'll talk about that in number five. But the first one is clean, well organized accounting. Number two is monthly GAAP accounting review. This is with the team. Includes you as the business owner or the manager of the business. So that's very important. A budget model, a KPI and dashboard. We'll talk about what that is. And then an EOS L10 style meeting container, which is basically the accountability mechanism to make sure that all this stuff happens, that we're actually looking at the numbers and using the numbers as a tool to grow the company. So let's start with clean, well organized accounting. So um, if you don't have this, like you can't raise to higher levels of maturity on your financial performance. And it's only at the higher levels of financial maturity where it becomes a true investment and you get a real return on it that you can measure. So we've got to take care of this to get to this. And whenever you get to this, things can accelerate very quickly for you. So we want to try to elevate up that ladder as quickly as we can. So you can't control your financial destiny without this. What does it mean to have clean, well organized accounting? It means all those transactions that are running through your books are coded to the same kind of GL every single month. Like I'm not going to find my marketing spend in loans and leases on the GL one month and then the marketing GL in another month. We're coding things correctly. Things like interest and principal payments, they're split out between principal and interest payments rather than just saying, we paid that. That reduces the loan amount, the entire payment. That's one way that books get really messy. Revenues and expenses are recognized in the correct period. So it's like if this is supposed to go in the month of June, we put it in the month of June. Inventory is booked correctly and moved from the balance sheet to the P&L when you sell something. So you have accurate balance sheet and P&L uh, transactions. So transactions are coded to correct classes, customers, and jobs to make margin analysis possible. This little feature here that I'm talking about, coding things to classes, customers, jobs, just allows you to drill down on what's happening with the business and where am I making the most money. And without that, you never can kind of get to the analysis that allows you to open up new opportunities for yourself. So that's clean, well organized accounting. Monthly GAAP accounting review. Just make sure that your books are really clean. It's an accountability and quality control step for your bookkeeping. And this meeting is where you're going to get into the nitty gritty details with everybody and say, why are we spending money on the software that we never use? That kind of thing. It's going to be an opportunity for you also to find ways to save money. So we want this. It also helps us to make sure that things, there's not any fraud going on, which is, I think it's like over 20% of businesses in the United States have some kind of major fraud taking place in their company. They just have no way of knowing about it. So it's very, very prevalent. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a budget model. That means P&L, balance sheet, statement of cash flows, updated every month with your actual financials to see how did we do versus what we budgeted. And we're going to predict out what cash is going to be at the end of the year. And if we have excess cash, we're going to invest that in the company, or we're going to distribute it to you as the business owner. It's going to be your decision. But if you want to grow a business very quickly, there's no free lunch. You've got to reinvest. There's no way out of it. So this is where you're going to make a lot of those decisions. This is the core tool for ownership, peace of mind, and future planning if you've got a well-operated business. This is something that after you go through your monthly management meeting, look at all the financials, review the budget, see how we're doing on cash flow at the end of the year, and you've made some of these big CapEx decisions, you're going to feel like you have real control. And I've seen this time and time again. Once you get to the point where this is a reliable tool and we're looking at it consistently, it becomes really powerful. But it's a commitment that everybody's got to make, including you as the business owner. The next thing that we're going to build is a KPI dashboard. And it's the primary tool for managing the business by the numbers day to day. And so this report might come out daily, it might come out weekly. You can have multiple KPI dashboards for different people in your organization. You can have a weekly and a monthly. And the weekly can be very condensed. The monthly can have huge amounts of data where you can dig in more and get more insights. But it usually has something that relates to sales. That might be, how much revenue did we bring in, or how many leads did we create this week. It also talks about your margins, typically like your gross profit margin, customer satisfaction, and then capacity. Whether you're a factory or you're a service provider, everybody's got capacity limits typically. And so we want to see if we're bumping up against that capacity, and then we want to try to figure out how to increase that capacity, remove that bottleneck, because it creates a lot of value. So it helps you to focus. That's the number one rule. Is if you look at what Warren Buffett has done with his businesses, you look at his financial reports, the way he manages those businesses, he might look at 3 or 4 different metrics, and that's it. Those are the things that matter. So this cuts down the noise and all of the hand waving from your employees about what they're seeing. So the last thing, this is actually one of the most important pieces of this. The entire system does not work unless there's execution and accountability. We all know that intuitively, but unless you build it into the system intentionally, it doesn't happen. It's not going to happen by accident. So we want to tie these long-term goals that you have by going through this long-term planning process that EOS teaches, or the 5XGOS system teaches this. But this is going to be easily done through that kind of training, because all of the training tools are there. So that's what we typically push people towards. If they're not in the 5XGOS system, they're not getting the training that's provided through that. It helps you set 10-year, 3-year, 1-year, next quarter, and weekly goals. Each department will meet weekly to review performance versus goals and hold each other accountable to to-dos. You want to manage by metrics in those teams. They're not coming and talk about the narrative of what happened that week. It's like, you have a number to report, give me the number first, then we'll talk about the other stuff later. The narrative can skew what the true reality is. But it creates a focus and a teamwork, and it prevents the company from being led astray by shiny objects. Once you know what really matters, you got a few objectives, and everybody's on the same page about them, and we're reporting on them every single week, it's really hard to get off track. So that's why we implement a system like this whenever we're trying to get true financial performance. So hopefully this helped. If you have any other questions, feel free to comment on this video or send me a message. I'm happy to answer any kind of questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.